Hokage, Uchiha Prodigy unlocks ultimate analysis system. Episode 41. At this time, Uchiha Kagami was already stunned in place, like a person who had discovered the door to a new world. You mastered it before I taught you? Feng Kai's scene is definitely not the flash cut he cast. It was directly past his flash cut, reaching a higher level and more sophisticated swordsmanship. He thinks he can't do that level. Uchiha Kagami silently looked at Uchiha Hiko, although too many things have happened to him that can be called miracles, but he is always creating new miracles. In just half a month, he not only completed the basic practice of swordsmanship by himself, but also realized such a brilliant sword technique. This understanding, in his Uchiha mirror's opinion, is unprecedented and unexpected. In terms of swordsmanship, neither the head of the Kiki family, nor any samurai he had ever met, or even the teacher who had pioneered the Konoha School of Physical Arts, was inferior to him. How can this talent not be surprising? Fonsai's technique was called his own flash cut by Uchiha Hiko. However, in Uchiha's opinion, it was completely a self-created S-class technique. What is the concept of creating an S-class technique at such an age? The Senju pillar, known as the ninja god, is also a little inferior. Listening to Uchiha Kagami's incredulous inquiry, Uchiha nodded and replied, I just practiced yesterday. After all, I thought you died outside, and I was going to avenge you. Uchiha Kagami cried and laughed. How, is the flash cut like me? Yes, no, I think it's better to rename it, it's completely two different levels. Uchiha shrugged and said casually, then it's called Flash Cutting Zero. I'm too lazy to take a name. I even want to use it as a basic sword art. Take Feng Kai's shocking swordsmanship as a basic sword art? You dare to say it? Uchiha Kagami was completely convinced. Suddenly, he thought of something and asked, when that happened, it was when I needed to travel on a mission. Hiko, I'm sorry I wasn't there at that time. Well, don't give me anything here, quickly hand over the mysteries of Uchiha to me, and I'll be satisfied. What Uchiha Kagami refers to is naturally the Naka Shinobi incident in which Uchiha Yen killed the Hyuga clan. He was a rather enthusiastic villager, one of the few who was not bound by narrow nationalism. He loved his people and the whole village. It hurt him very much that something happened. But he chooses to trust Uchiha Hiko, and he believes that Uchiha Hiko, who spends a short time with him, will not be the kind of person who deliberately kills. Then the Hyuga clan took the initiative to provoke and were eventually killed, and it was all their fault. It had fermented into a duel half a month later, and on his personal side, he didn't want it to happen. Whether it was a duel between the younger generation who made things big or a clash between two families, he didn't want to see it, because he knew that neither would end up perfectly. However, he also knew the difficulties of ape flying. Hey, before I met you, I knew a little. Hiko, I recognize your strength and talent, but don't be arrogant. One thing I have to tell you is that there are two young genius brothers in the Hyuga clan, and the two of them once joined forces to defeat the enemy country's Kami Shinobu. Hearing this, Uchiha Yen was slightly surprised, and ridiculed. It won't be 800 miles away to throw a bitter head, right? Of course not. Because their battle was seen with my own eyes by one of my senior shinobi. Uchiha Hiko's smile narrowed and asked, how old? But 12. 12 years old in the ninja world is a metamorphosis stage. Some people graduate from ninja school, some people are promoted to middle ninja, some people enter the dark department, and some people are qualified to be upper ninja. And those two Hyuga brothers who were able to kill Shinobu together, no matter what the situation was. Their combat strength should not be underestimated. It's like some 12-year-old genius white hair who obtained the qualification of upper ninja, hanging the title of genius, but was actually blinded by the poke of Shinobu by Wayne Murakami. But according to Uchiha Kagami, the brothers of the 2 days have really killed the enemy country Shinobu. Don't worry, Kagami-senpai, if I'm in danger, I'll run faster than anyone. Uchiha said with a smile. His instantaneous technique, ordinary people really can't stop it. Uchiha Kagami shook his head, it's great that you can protect yourself, but for the sake of safety, I still think it's better to improve your strength. In the same way, the Hyuga clan is just a stepping stone in front of me, I will step on them. You haven't been back during this time, I've mastered basic swordsmanship. Next, I will teach you the Uchiha flow sword technique. Although it is a sword art, it also requires ninjutsu cooperation. Uchiha Yen frowned slightly, and blurted out, ninjutsu? Ninja swordsmanship? Well, you don't have a wrong understanding. Episode 42, Uchiha Ryu Wind Sword. With Uchiha Mirror's low drink, his figure was like electricity, and it looked like he had directly penetrated the target in front of him. Actually, it's just an illusion of sight, just because it's too fast. Immediately afterwards, a strong flame suddenly erupted above the short knife in his hand, and the flame quickly turned into a blade more than 10 meters long, slashing at the target from behind at an oblique angle. That huge flame blade cut the target in half with just one sword. Although the name of this technique is Uchiha Ryu Wind Sword, it has little to do with the wind attribute chakra, but it is a fire escape system. The basic sword technique is to jump behind the enemy with the teleportation technique, and then surprise the enemy from behind with a huge flame blade. This sword technique coincides with his ability to coercion. Compared to using chakra to transform into flame, it is better to directly use chakra to inject into the black knife to create a 40-meter-long ultra-thin light blue blade. That cutting ability is much stronger than the blade made of flame. Uchiha Yen, thoughtfully, just take this technique. Several extended versions have appeared in his heart. One of the advantages of the Traverser is that it is quick to think and will not stick to the rigidity of this world. However, before that, he still had to learn this technique as it was. Hiko, do you see clearly? This technique is not like ninjutsu, it requires great elaboration. If not, I will show you again. No need, I've already remembered, try it. Uchiha said. His brain does remember, but he doesn't know if his body can cooperate. With that, he lifted up the black knife. Uchiha Kageme's explosive power as an elite shinobi is certainly incomparable, but he is not stupid and knows how to use all available resources. Instantaneous technique. Taking the jujube stake in front of him as a target, he fell 15 meters behind him with an instantaneous technique, and then turned around and slashed at great speed, and the chakra in his hand was frantically output, and a 20-meter chakra blade was projected on top of the black knife. With a slash, the extremely sharp chakra blade, like cutting vegetables, easily cut off the jujube stake. Seeing this scene, Uchiha mirror flickered slightly, and immediately cheered, haha, your black knife has helped you a lot, directly skip the stage of changing chakra, and the speed is faster. Uchiha Kagami looked at the black knife of Uchiha Hiko's mobile phone, and suddenly, the red knife that used to be in the storage room was not fragrant. No, it's fast, or you're faster. Uchiha Kagami did not understand the meaning of these words. Don't worry, when you become a superior shinobi, your speed will definitely be amazing. Let's talk about swordsmanship. If you talk about the speed, I'll be opportunistic. What does Senior Kagami think? Opportunism is not enough. Ninjas just have to use everything. You have such talent. In that way, this sword art is your sword art. Uchiha Kagami praised. But Uchiha still shook his head, and the black knife in his hand had been raised again. I'm still not skilled enough, the wood is dead, the person is alive, and it can't be used in actual combat. Uchiha Kagami patted Uchiha on the shoulder. In that case, you have to practice more. In the upcoming battle, don't be careless. I understand. When the words fell, his figure had already rushed out. The great practitioner Swanike said, if you can't do it once, do it again. After practicing 10 times, he was already able to use the same Uchiha Flow Wind Sword as the Uchiha Mirror. That huge flame blade, although not as sharp as the chakra blade of the black knife, lies in comprehension. When he understood it, he put it into the system analysis. System, give me the analysis of Uchiha Flow Wind Sword. Ding dong, prompt the host, Uchiha Flow Wind Sword has begun to analyze, it takes time, 1 day. A day later. Ding dong, prompt the host, the analysis of the Uchiha Flow Wind Sword has been completed, please pay attention to check. Uchiha Ryu Wind Sword, use the teleportation technique to move to the enemy's blind spot at high speed, and then sneak up on the enemy with a super attack. Advantages, simple moves, fierce attacks. Disadvantages, the attack hit rate is variable, especially in the face of humans without blind spots, or humans with super perception ability. Analysis, modification, if you are dealing with a sensitive enemy, it is recommended to use the attribute ninjutsu barrier first and then launch this technique attack. If you're dealing with non-sensitive enemies, it's recommended to reduce the angle of your attack. Derivation, Uchiha Flow, Wind Dance. On the basis of the Wind Sword, more attack methods are added, which is more suitable for one-on-many group combat. Oh? Is this a large group? A group attack type swordsmanship? As we all know, the art of fireball is a range ninjutsu, and most of the ninjutsu is range ninjutsu. But those ninjutsu all require sealing, and the speed is slow, which is one of the reasons why I have never seen a how fireball kill someone. But now such a Uchiha Flow and Fierce Wind Dance, that is, a group attack technique that does not need to be sealed, and the landing speed is abnormally fast. Episode 43, he tried to go to extremely remote places, and his original ninjutsu was not something that others could just see. Often some exclusive self-created ninjutsu, even if the power is not great, can also kill the enemy because the other party does not understand. Uchiha confirmed that no one was around, and then pulled out the black knife from his waist. As chakra swelled, he felt that the knife in his hand was extremely hot. Uchiha Ryu Wind Dancing. The high-quality chakra erupted in large quantities, with Uchiha as the central point, and the huge range of flames, like a shuriken capable of cutting through the peaks, burst out in all directions. And in that flame, there is also a light blue blade, which is a real horror hidden in the fire. I saw that everywhere the terrifying chakra went, all the flowers, trees, birds, and mosquitoes around him turned into flying ash in an instant. Even the ground has become a scorched earth. It can be said that everywhere you go, there is no grass. Phew. Uchiha slowly took a breath, and couldn't help but be shocked by the scene in front of him. This power, if nothing else, is directly forbidden to be arranged. Well, powerful techniques are often accompanied by chakra sacrifice, and this technique cost me a third of chakra. It seems that it has to be used as a card at the bottom of the box. Once the experiment was complete, he quickly left the place to avoid being caught and fined. Along the way, he quickly restored chakra in the way of the Book of Uchiha, and by the time he arrived at the agreed cultivation field, Uchiha Kagami was already waiting. Because he was about to face a battle, he urged very tightly. As soon as he saw Uchiha arrive, he immediately spoke, "Hiko, you are late today." "Well, I was blocked by a black cat on my way here." "Alas, forget it, don't worry about you, or training is the most important." Uchiha Kagami took out a small book, opened it and looked at it and said, "Yesterday, based on your current situation and the opponent you will face, considering the remaining time, I formulated the most efficient cultivation method for you. Isn't my cultivation always efficient?" While speaking, he still leaned over to look at the small book of Uchiha Kagami, "Ninjutsu, Physical Arts, Illusion Pass? Well, illusion doesn't help you much, and the next battle, I'm going to give you targeted training, so, Physical Arts and Ninjutsu. You should have experienced Hinata Jochuan already, right?" "Yes." "Then," said Uchiha Kagami and began to seal the seal, and then jumped high, fire escape Hyenhua technique. 3 fiery fireballs fell from the sky and smashed into the ground like meteorites. It was obviously a flame created by chakra, but it was like a solid, and when it hit the ground, it blasted out 3 large pits, and this is not over. The flame ball burst at the moment of hitting the ground, forming secondary damage. "This technique is suitable for you to attack enemies in midair," Uchiha Kagami said. "Now that you have experienced Hyuga Jochuan Fist, you will understand that following the steps of emergency physical training will not have much effect, and ninjutsu has naturally become the best choice." Uchiha remembered the knot seal, and then applied it according to the knot seal. He did not jump up like the Uchiha mirror, because he had to be able to use it before he could talk about the rest of the usage. When the 3 fireballs flew sideways, he knew that this ninjutsu was not simple. The first experiment, let's do it. Therefore, he imitated the Uchiha mirror and jumped up, regarded the stake as an imaginary enemy, and quickly made a seal. Huaduan Hyenhua. The fireball he created is different from the color of the fireball of the Uchiha mirror, and the quality of the chakra is different between the two. Good, Hiko, your ninjutsu talent is really amazing. If there is enough time, I really want to teach you all my ninjutsu so that you can always have ninjutsu available at the right time. Some people can fight one ninjutsu for a lifetime, but some people claim to have learned thousands of ninjutsu, which also makes some sense. Uchiha Yen smiled. Since Uchiha Kagami took the initiative to teach ninjutsu, he didn't learn for nothing. "Then senior, you better teach me a few more ninjutsu. There are enough fires, can you thunder?" Uchiha Kagami nodded. "Of course you can, although I'm not good at using Lei Duan, it's still no problem to teach it to you. Is there a more powerful thunderbolt?" "Lei Dun Lei Ji Twin Dogs." Uchiha Kagami replied directly with actions. I saw that the beasts formed by 2 thunderbolts quickly rushed towards the big tree in the distance. The big tree that bore the power that should not be born was really sad when it was favored by the people of the Uchiha clan. The lightning burned the bark of the tree to pitch black and pierced a hole in the thick tree. You know, that big tree is not small. The tree body is as thick as 3 adults hugging. Itself is harder than the human body. The power of thunder and lightning cannot be underestimated. His Thunder Dun Spark can be said to be a scattered attack, and this Thunder Dun ninjutsu is to concentrate and pierce a little. "Kagami-senpai, you should have taught me this ninjutsu earlier." "Well, I'm not very good at thunder, I usually like to use fire to escape." Episode 44. Uchiha Kagami taught 2 ninjutsu at once, but the system currently has only 1 parsing column. In this way, only the parsing can be queued. In fact, he currently has a considerable degree of mastery of the basics of fire ninjutsu and the foundation of thunder ninjutsu, because when the system analyzes ninjutsu before, it will obtain the most basic knowledge. This was one of the reasons why he was able to quickly learn the 2 lines of ninjutsu later. "System, give me an analysis of Huaduan Hyenhua." Ding dong, prompt the host. Huaduan Hyenhua begins to parse. It takes time, 1 day. System, in order to analyze Lei Dun Lei Ji Twin Dogs. Ding dong, when the last ninjutsu analysis is completed, it will begin to analyze the Lei Dun Lei Ji Twin Dogs. Estimated time, 1 day. 2 days later, Uchiha walked to the training ground and began to experiment and analyze the results. Lei Dun Lei Ji Double Dog. Gather the thunder in the palm of your hand and swing it suddenly, and the thunder and lightning form an image similar to a canine creature, causing penetrating damage and paralyzing the target when hitting the object. Advantages: fast speed, high hit rate, intuitive single damage. Disadvantages: chakra consumes a lot, and the arms will be temporarily numb after use. Analysis modification: reduce the consumption of chakra and eliminate the drawbacks of the ninjutsu after it is used up. Derivation: Lei Dun Thunder Double Tiger, Lei Dun Lei Ji Double Dog, power enhancement version, with faster speed and stronger power. Compared with the analysis of the last Lei Dun fireworks, the analysis of this Lei Dun ninjutsu is more intuitive. And yesterday, Huodu and Hao Yanhua finished parsing. Huodu and Hao Yanhua, air-to-ground fire ninjutsu, fireball runs fast, and the target is more flexible. Advantages: you can flexibly increase the number of fireballs and control the strike points. Disadvantages: the power is not strong enough. Analysis modification: increase the mass volume of the fireball by reducing the consumption of chakra, thereby increasing the power. Derivation: Huodu and Hao Yanhua array form a large array with Hao Yanhua and put the enemy in this death array. The analysis effect of the two ninjutsu is very powerful. Lei Dun enhances the single damage ability, and Fire Dun enhances the range damage ability. But those are still just theories, and he needs to practice to know how. Being at the training ground itself, he directly began to make prints. The originally complicated knots turned out to be simple at this time. Fire escape Hao Yanhua array. He jumped from the poor tree, and suddenly a flame burst into the air around him, and the flames burned into a huge fireball in an instant, a sight like the treasure of a king, but the flame that filled the sky was a flame that wanted to burn everything. What a formation! This is indiscriminate bombing. That dense fireball, watching Uchiha Yan's scalp numb, he was afraid of a carelessness, he blew himself up. Boom, boom, boom. Once, there was a remote cultivation field in Konoha village, and because of the remoteness, few people came, but since that Uchiha boy came, everything has changed. Of course, at this moment, this remote cultivation field is also gone. The only thing left was the big tree, which had been burned horribly, but the torso was still standing. After the analysis, the consumption of chakra for this ninjutsu is too small. I can't believe that such a large-scale ninjutsu only costs such a little chakra. Uchiha muttered. Then, he looked at the big tree, which could only be described as a scorched black pillar. Sighing helplessly, alas, let me see you off at the end. In the past, I liked this big tree, I could rely on it, or I could lie on it and rest, but now. Lei Dong Double Tiger. With the imprint in Uchiha Hiko's hand, the thunder and lightning jumped at his fingertips, and finally spewed out, becoming a magnificent thunder beam. That thunder and lightning continued to change in the process of galloping, faintly turning into the form of a fierce tiger. The tiger stretched out its claws, trying to tear everything apart. Oh! With a tiger roar, that thunder and lightning penetrated the scorched black tree. Immediately, the tree that was forcibly supported collapsed. In this way, this remote cultivation field really does not exist. Who would have thought that this place was a good cultivation ground a few days ago, and it was almost the same to say that this was a coal mine. Get 4 ninjutsu again, and I'm fully sure of the next battle. A battle with Hinata, he is a necessary battle. What little 99 are in the hearts of those people, I am afraid that there is no need to guess. According to Uchiha Kagami, the Hyuga clan has a genius brother, and they will definitely meet them this time. 2 people working together can kill Sharingan, which is a ruthless character, but from today onwards, it will be the countdown to the fall of their genius. At that time, they will find that they are just one of the many living beings, unremarkable. The 1-month covenant gradually progressed day by day, because the cultivation field was destroyed. Uchiha Yen changed places to cultivate. Daily cultivation cannot be broken, and the path of ninja is like a boat against the water, and if you do not advance, you will retreat. When that day finally comes, episode 46, you guys. Let's go together. That sentence echoed in the ears of the 9 Hinata people, and the Hinata brothers in the middle even clenched their fists. But anyone who is named a genius has pride in his heart. This is the greatest insult to them. They were furious. Up. With an order, the 9 of Hinata set out in unison. Uchiha's 8 people were about to step forward to block, but found that the back that was still in front of them suddenly disappeared. They, for whom to block? There. They only heard Hinata shouting alone, and when they looked over, they saw that Uchiha Yen appeared on the side tree like an ordinary ghost. His feet were attached to chakra, standing horizontally on the trunk of the tree, and he already had a yin seal in his hands. Needless to say, it was fire ninjutsu. Fire. Die. Hao Yanhua, 3 fireballs condensed in the air and suddenly slammed into the 9 of Hinata. The blazing flame rapidly enlarged in their eyes. It's not that they haven't encountered such a sneak attack in their ninja career, but why is the fire so fast this time? Scatter. Of Hinata's 2 brothers, the elder brother roared. He rolled his eyes and found out early. If he is alone, he can completely hide. But a few behind him who don't pay attention will suffer. In a hurry, he could only quickly clamp one in one hand and flee quickly. Boom! 3 fireballs burst, a white shirt flew up, and was quickly burned out by the flames. There were only 8 people that Hinata dodged. Just a face, a ninjutsu, Uchiha Yen killed one of them. Abominable. Damn Uchiha Hiko. Everyone opens their eyes, 1 group and 2 groups lock on Uchiha Hiko, and 3 groups are wary of him. Yes. As soon as the eyes opened, the effect of Uchiha Hiko's sneak attack was cut by half. But there are thousands of ninja techniques, and sneak attacks are just one of them. Since they open their horizons to hang. That's it for your white eyes. With a mocking sigh, Uchiha quickly dodged a bunch of shuriken kunai's attacks. The Hyuga clan has great physical skills, and long-range attacks are very limited. He can completely walk them to death as dogs. Fire Dragon Fire Art. As the azure blue chakra rose, a fierce fire dragon roared out. While using the fire, Uchiha tactically retreated towards the rear. Hinata's humble men had to chase and hide, extremely embarrassed. The dragon fire art was a fire ninjutsu that he was particularly interested in, and from the beginning, he went to be able to control the fire dragon freely. After such a long period of training, coupled with the system's analysis of fire escape, he is now a fire master. The remaining 8 people in Hinata had already raised their 12-point spirits, and although they had dodged the first wave of fire dragons, they did not expect that the fire dragon would not dissipate after swooping into the air. Instead, he turned his head and continued to chase after them. Abominable. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Why can his fire escape be like this? Everyone be careful, disperse. Not only the people of the Hyuga clan were shocked, but even several people from Uchiha were stunned in place. When it comes to fire, it depends on Uchiha. But even those of them who are slightly older have never seen such a fire in the family. Why can his ninjutsu be so exquisite? Why can his fire escape be so flexible? Hee, this ninjutsu used to scare your Hinata people into peeing. Uchiha sneered. Suddenly, his eyes were cold, and the hideous and terrifying fire dragon suddenly impacted, and Hinata's people scattered, not disappeared. As long as they can't escape this area within a certain amount of time, then the fire dragon will surely arrive as promised. Rise. With a dragon groan, the scattered 3 people were engulfed by the fire dragon. In panic, under the threat of that huge dragon head, their hands and feet stiffened, and they wanted to use Hui Tian, but it was too late. No one could have imagined that the fire dragon would not only turn, but also suddenly accelerate its impact. 2 fire and 4 people, can you be serious? If you can't please me, then die. 3 groups of 9 people, 4 people lost at this time, and 5 people remained. Those 5 people were blinded one by one, and their companions died so tragically in front of them, but they couldn't do anything. Even the best medical ninja today can't save a black cloud of carbon. Find cover to fight. We have to approach the guy quickly. Otherwise, you will be attacked by ninjutsu all the time. Brother is right, the Uchiha clan is good at fire escape, as long as we can get close, they are waste. Then, let's spread out, when he attacks one side with ninjutsu, the others will use all their strength to get close. Understood. Kill. Uchiha saw their whereabouts from a distance and couldn't help but laugh. Want to scatter and surround from all directions, thinking that you will find flaws that way? These people are still too young. Thinking so, a few kuwu flew over. With a tool like this that can only kill passers-by, he only needs to jump into another tree and completely dodge. Subsequently, he made another seal in his hand. Episode 47, Lay Dun Lay Ji Twin Dogs. 2 thunder dogs rushed to the left. Lay Dun Lay Dong Double Tiger. 2 thunder tigers pounced to the right. If you are an ordinary person, it is already empty after letting go of these ninjutsu at this time, but Uchiha Hiko's ninjutsu chakra consumption is extremely low, and with the skill of the Book of Uchiha, the amount of chakra is much more than that of ordinary people. The Hyuga 5 thought of 100 ways to deal with the fire, but how did this suddenly turn into thunder? Although the thunder and lightning transformation beast is not as shocking as the fire dragon, it is deadly enough. Only listening to a scream, the fierce thunder tiger had already torn 2 Hinata people to shreds at the same time. The thunder dog on the other side was avoided by them by luck. It's a pity that the thunder tiger twin dogs over there were just temptations, and their lives were exchanged for their companions who died under the claws of thunder tiger. After being erased again, there are only 3 people left in Hinata's squad, the Hyuga brothers, plus a female benefactor. Those who can survive must be of good strength. Uchiha Yan's brows frowned slightly. I should really praise you for being able to live until now, but it's a pity that you want to be my enemy. He, finally, began to get serious. Huaduan Long Yan singing technique. Feng Kai, a fire dragon in that area, was scared to tremble in their hearts, and there were companions who died in the mouth of the dragon, and at this time, 5 heavenly fire dragons appeared at the same time. When those 5 fire dragons appeared, the sky changed color, and the blazing flames reflected the entire forest as if it was covered with a layer of red frost. Humans tend to be terrified of things they can't understand. That terrifying 5 world-destroying dragons, I'm afraid Sharingan can't use it. Why would they face such enemies? This. Brother, I will protect you. Brother. The 2 brothers often join forces to do tasks, and their cooperation ability is one of the best, and even the superior ninja of the enemy country can kill them. At this time, it is the 2 of them who can still keep their minds. As for that female benefactor, she was already drowned in the fire in an instant. Brotherhood is deep, they did not care about her. In terms of sacrifice, they have already sacrificed too much. I will be my brother's shield, and my brother must kill him for us. If we drag on like this, we're done, brother. One of the Hinata twins leaped out, surrounded by a light blue chakra, and the chakra released from the acupuncture channels of the whole body actually resisted the flames for a moment. Moments later, chakra dispersed and the flames began to burn his body. That kind of pain, unimaginable. Brother. The 2 brothers worked together to break a way out of the fire. The younger brother uses himself as a shield to open up a way for the elder brother to attack. Seeing this, Uchiha Yen was shocked. What was shocking was not that he was close to the Hyuga family, but that there was actually a monster genius who took the initiative to give people's heads this year. Under the blazing flames, only one person cleared the level. That is the Hyuga genius who once worked with his brother to kill the enemy country, Kami Shinobu. He's got it. He has locked Uchiha Hiko. This man is his mortal enemy. Killed not only his people, but also his brothers. All this, he has to fight back in the most brutal way. Uchiha Hiko, today is your time to die. Oh? You weren't so excited at the door just now, huh? Softboxing method, gossip 64 palms. Since you've come this far, it's not very authentic for me to use ninjutsu, then. Saying that, Uchiha slowly drew his black knife from his waist. Uchiha flow, flash cut, 0. Blink. That's faster than Hinata's gossip 64 palms. Uchiha Hiko's figure was like a streamer, turning into 2 in the process of that dash, and the 2 kicked Hinata into the air, and then his figure flashed. A certain field that the Hyuga clan pretends to be forced looks like a joke at the moment. It was obviously he who first performed the soft boxing technique, but he was counterattacked by Uchiha Yen, who then drew the black knife, and was broken by a kick. I saw that in the short time in the air, Uchiha and his shadow doppelganger jumped up and staggered. The blade in his hand flashed with a light blue cold glow, and this was just the beginning. Staggered, the speed of Uchiha and the shadow doppelganger is getting faster and faster. Until the naked eye sees only the sword light and shadow. Hinata's genius is also a genius, and although he can't borrow power in the air, he still uses his quick reflexes to block attacks as much as possible to ensure that he can survive. The desire to survive is quite strong. However, Uchiha can't manage that much. The blade is ruthless, and the ninja is even more ruthless than the weapon. When the last sword hit the ground, he disarmed the shadow doppelganger, gasping slightly in his mouth. After all, Fong Kai has performed so many ninjutsu, and now with this physical technique, the personal consumption for him is quite large. Poof. Hinata genius fell to the ground, his body did not fall apart like a dummy, obviously, he blocked a lot of attacks. Me. I'm just. Episode 48. There is a village in the ninja world, and there is a treasure in the village. It is called a 3G free surveillance camera, and its type is a crystal ball. Sarutobi returned to the office after finishing the opening. After all, as a third-generation Hokage, it was impossible to stand outside and wait all the time. At the same time, the battle between the 2 families is not a trivial matter, you need to keep an eye on it, and he is using telescopes. In this village of Konoha, where everything is crooked, it is reasonable that the security technology is a little crooked. Above the crystal ball, what is being displayed is a sea of fire. In terms of ninjutsu understanding, Sarutobi said second in Konoha village, and no one dared to claim the first. At this moment, looking at the amazing fire ninjutsu, he fell silent. Instead, the 2 people next to him exclaimed. This. Does Uchiha still have that kind of ninjutsu? They actually taught that kind of fire ninjutsu to that child? Koharu, have you ever seen Kagami use that kind of fire? I haven't seen it anyway. Listening to the discussion between the 2, Ape Flying Sun Chopper finally took a breath and explained with an uncertain expression, Xiachun, Menyen, you see, that's the fire escape how dragon fire art. How dragon fire art? How come, huh? Nickjo, you won't be mistaken, that seal is not right. Sarutobi shook his head with a heavy face, it's the dragon fire technique, I didn't pay attention to it before, but I heard a report from the teacher of the ninja school. This is the first time I have seen it with my own eyes, that, there is no doubt that it is the dragon fire art of fire. However, it is completely different from the normal dragon fire art. The normal dragon fire art is a powerful fire ninjutsu, but compared to the fire ninjutsu used by the sun, it is completely rubbish. Even he, the third-generation Hokage, who was praised by all kinds and knew countless ninjutsu, could hardly achieve that level. Hearing that Sarutobi was so sure, Koharu and Mito Manyen suddenly gasped. Of course they know the fire art of the dragon fire technique. But such a fire ninjutsu that breaks common sense, they would never have imagined. Immediately afterwards, another worrying thing appeared in their minds. In the face of such a fire ninjutsu attack, what should Hinata's group of people do? A scene in the crystal ball that shows them the actual situation. Something like this happened, Hinata. Mito Manyen looked at Sarutobi Hinata, trying to get a reasonable answer. But I found that the ape flying sun chop over there was just silence, silence, silence. Hinata, are you indifferent to this? Day chop. Mitoman is anxious. However, he didn't understand how much the person sitting in the Hokage seat needed to think about. After a long time, I only listened to the ape flying sun chop and say, keep watching, humph. Just cast a fire ninjutsu of that scale, even if he is a geek, he should have exhausted chakra, and he will definitely be chased by the people of the Hyuga clan. Mito Manyen's words stuck in his throat. What he wanted to say was that Fong Kai's luxurious version of the dragon fire art must have consumed a lot of chakra. Under such a huge consumption, everyone has to lie down. Not to mention maintaining the speed of retreat, I'm afraid it's hard to breathe. However, the reality is that Uchiha not only did not collapse, but was still alive and energetic. How is this possible? After consuming chakra like that, how could he still stand up? Mito Manyen almost roared. In this forest of death, there are a group of teenagers. And not a bunch of ninjas of their level. The amount of chakra is the greatest guarantee that limits them. But what happened to Uchiha Hiko? Is he a monster with the amount of chakra like Hokage? How is that possible? Koharu was stunned, and he was almost able to stuff the crystal ball in. This is the disciple of the mirror sect? Why did he never tell us? In fact, Kagami reported to me that there was a disciple who had surpassed him. Ape Fei said with a wry smile. That's true. Who is to blame? Richo, let's talk about other things. This kid's talent is probably stronger than yours. Mito Manyen said tactfully. Hearing this, Ape Fei replied with a wry smile. It's not afraid, but it's far beyond me back then. Back then, not only the second generation of Misama, but even I felt that I was very good in ninjutsu, but compared to this afterlife, I was nothing. Mito Manyen was about to say something, when the picture on the crystal ball suddenly flickered. That's the light of thunder. Fong Kai's fire has washed away their cognition. That kid was able to temper the fire to such an extent, they were shocked enough. But he never expected that he would also master Lei Dun. At this time, in Konoha village, there was no thunder ninjutsu everyone, even the Lei Dun mastered by the ape flying sun slash, there was no such thing that could really handle it and calm the scene. However, that kind of thunder ninjutsu appeared on him. A scene in the crystal ball has already shocked Mito's eyeballs. Episode 49, Uchiha Ryu Swordsmanship. In fact, it was more like Uchiha Hiko's own swordsmanship. Even if his swordsmanship is written into a scroll and disclosed within the Uchiha clan, no one may be able to learn it. In other words, this real person and dummy are different. It seems that I will find someone to practice in the future. Uchiha muttered. In front of him was the so-called genius of the Hyuga clan who had been seriously injured. The genius boy could never have imagined that the target they wanted to kill was so powerful that it was simply a monster. Generally, ninjas who are good at ninjutsu will have poor physical skills, right? So he gave the order to forcibly advance, and even his brother used him as a shield and opened the way forward. But what about the facts? The fact is that in terms of physical skills, the person who is vulnerable is him. He never thought that the threat hanging around Uchiha Hiko's waist was really not a decoration. Abominable. Why? Why would I be inferior to A? Halfway through Hinata's genius words, he spat out blood. I don't know if it's because of resentment in my heart or because the injury has worsened. Uchiha slowly lifted the knife, pointed it at him, and said, why? There are not so many reasons in the world. If you have to find a reason, it is the same fate as your brother, fate. Hinata's so-called genius covered his wound and stood up tremblingly. The clansmen companions who had been training with him for a month had died under the hands of this person in front of him, and he now had no heart to care about whether he lived or died. With such a heavy injury, even if he survived the forest of death, those medical ninjas might not be able to heal his injuries. He's already reading the progress bar of death. In that case, it is better to fight and kill the enemy in front of him who killed his 7 companions, as well as his own brother. The Hyuga clan knew the chakra meridian points of the whole body, and he could remember those locations without rolling his eyes. The knife wound he is now suffering cuts part of his meridians, but it does not prevent him from continuing to run chakra. Uchiha Hiko, you are the most monster-like person I have ever seen in my life. No matter what suffers today, I will get rid of you as a monster. Hinata's genius roared. With his roar, the chakra in his whole body became intense. If under normal circumstances, the chakra flow in the human body is like a rushing river, then now the chakra in his body is like layers of angry waves. That's a completely runaway chakra. In that state, I don't know what will happen to you, but the pain is certain. Uchiha Hiko looked at Hinata with a sneer. He did not sneak up on Hinata while he was accumulating chakra, but stood quietly in place and waited. That's right, he's just waiting to see what other desperate capital Hinata's people have. A pair of chakra eyes leisurely looked at Hinata's chakra more and more violently. That kind of riotous chakra, I am afraid that ordinary people can bear. He scoffed, the mediocre Hyuga clan is like this, come on, dance to your heart's content. I saw that the acupuncture channel of Hinata's whole body released chakra, and the whole person's body seemed to be wrapped around the chi wave, and there was a saying, it was indeed a bit violent. However, that thing is far from the human pillar force, and the two are simply incomparable. This kind of small scene, Uchiha Yen also laughed at Tu Yile, really want to see the storm, but also have to find someone Julie. Gossip. Hinata put on a pose. Seeing this, Uchiha Yen also put chakra into the black knife in his hand. Uchiha Ryu. Gossip mountain break. Hinata roared. Wind sword. Everyone in Uchiha looked at the scene of the showdown. One by one, they were already stunned in place, not knowing how to be good. They thought they knew their own clan Uchiha Yen well enough, but they didn't expect that their understanding of him was only the tip of the iceberg. It is said that Uchiha Yen is a new generation of geniuses who use extraordinary thunder in the family test. But at this moment, that person, where is a genius, it is not an exaggeration to say that he is a monster of ninjutsu. Not to mention that series of ninjutsu connections, it is any kind of ninjutsu of that scale, and if it is used by a few of them, it will be drained after one time. The most terrifying thing is the precision of his ninjutsu. The few people sent in by Hinata are not fools, they must know how to deal with Uchiha's fire. However, they are like lambs tied up to be slaughtered under the fire of Uchiha Hiko. It's completely like the difference in strength between different dimensions, like trying to splash a raging fire with a drop of water. This Yen, I didn't even know he was so powerful before. Yes, just now I came in and thought to myself, this person should not be the illegitimate son of the patriarch. Now, I review. Be like Uchiha Hiko, with extraordinary strength, and be quick to take revenge. I also bear that at first I disdained Uchiha Hiko, but now. His ninjutsu is above me, no, his talent is far beyond my weight. Episode 50, Gossip Mountain Break. Uchiha Ryu Wind Sword. Hinata's bursting chakra is like a laser ray cannon, as the name suggests, it is a blow that can break a hill, if it hits a person, you can imagine. However, Uchiha Hiko's figure passed by the dangerous chakra. He was like a shadow, using the instantaneous technique to the peak, and the truth was seen in the subtleties. In an instant, at the same time that the Gossip Mountain breaking attack destroyed countless giant trees, Uchiha appeared behind Hinata. Above the black knife in his hand, there was already a light blue blade. Immediately after his backhand slash, the light blue chakra knife that extended into 20 meters in an instant was cut through his right rib from Hinata's left shoulder on his back. Blood is flying. At this time, the 9 people sent by the Hyuga clan into the Forest of Death were all destroyed. All these people died at the hands of their original prey. In this Forest of Death, the rules are like this, and the position of prey and hunter changes rapidly. Uchiha put away the black knife, and his heart was indescribably happy. Hinata's cubs don't understand the situation, so they want to take revenge on him, and if they don't have enough once, they want to kill him twice, then, all these people deserve to die. It's over. Yes, it's over. In the Hokage office, the high-ranking people sighed endlessly. Although he had accepted Uchiha Hiko's monster-like talent, the final stab was shocking. That knife is not so gorgeous. But these people with unique vision can find out how many details are hidden in that blow. That Uchiha Yan's mind is terrible. Koharu, isn't it scary? He's just a kid, Minyen, it's precisely because of this that I feel terrible. The two involuntarily set their sights on Ape Flying Sun. The next thing also needs to be seen how to deal with the Ape Flying Sun / who is the 3rd generation of Hokage. Feeling the inquiring gaze, Sarutobi silently took out a bong gun from the desk drawer and lit a few sips for himself. The green smoke slowed, and he frowned, this matter is over, what? Dechop you. Mito Minyen was shocked, such a big thing happened, the 3 generations of Hokage planned to act as if nothing had happened? Koharu pulled Mito Minyen without a trace, signaling him not to get too excited. Everyone is young and inexperienced. Ape Flying Sun Chopper has to think much more than the 2 of them. Hinata, no matter what, I support your decision. Hearing this, Ape Fairy was slightly stunned. He looked at Xiaojun with a slight emotion, and snorted, thank you. Richo, can you tell me this? We are together, the teacher asked us to stay, just to help you. Mito Menyen also seemed to remember the past time, and sighed, Hinata, Fong is excited, I'm sorry. Sarutobi smiled with relief, Menyen, no need to apologize to me, even I can't digest Uchiha Hiko's performance for a while now. That kid. After all, it was the high-ranking who quickly calmed down. Mito Menyen calmly asked, Hinata, then what are you going to do next? The two of us have the right to know, and can help you at the same time. That kid's abilities have gone beyond the scope of ninja school, and if he is allowed to stay in the school, I am afraid that something bad will continue to happen. Sarutobi replied. He took a few sharp puffs of smoke, and said slowly, I will let him graduate early, that is, now there are two choices, you guys listen, once let him join the special operations team led by the 3 upper shinobi, it can be a good way to hone an excellent talent for the village. Second, let him join the dark part. Hearing this, the two did not answer directly, but looked at each other. They thought about it and found that there was no difference between the two ways they treated Uchiha Hiko. The only difference is the issue of direct subordination. If he is allowed to be taken by 3 upper shinobi to join the special operations team, then he will go through a lot. He has to listen to the orders of the ninja captain during the mission, and he usually has to listen to the orders of the Uchiha clan. And joining the Dark Ministry, his direct boss is Hokage. Join the Dark Ministry. Join the Dark Ministry. The two said in unison. Ape Fairy nodded and said, well, I also think that child is very suitable for the dark part, and he will definitely be able to become an excellent dark part. Whether the dark part is excellent or not, it is not up to others to evaluate. They were all relieved that things were properly settled. Mito Menyen stood from a personal point of view and asked curiously, Hinata, look at that knife, is it a little powerful? The sword technique he just had, it doesn't look like attaching chakra to it. Could it be a special metal? Chakra conduction metal? Koharu asked. She didn't care about Rashiko's weapon, she was more concerned about Uchiha Hiko. Sarutobi nodded and said, the material of that knife is definitely not simple, that metal is quite expensive, but if necessary, I also want to build one for my future child.